All right. Okay. Wow. Can we say blunt, bold, raw, and real in the Image Clothing Company style? Can we say that? Can we say it as a collective? All together now. Blunt, bold, raw, and real in the Image Clothing Company style. Wow. Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Today is the 13th of August. 2026. This is a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, one of the 4 sides to us, where our slogan is allowing the body to work. We're only a clothing company because clothing, the literal wording, is the only thing physically placed onto the human being. But as I just said, it's literally clothing us, whatever it is. Hats, gloves, pants, shoes, socks, tops, undergarments, jewelry, glasses, but anything at all. I say it like this: a bag over the shoulder, you're clothing the shoulder with something. The way that God clothes the fields with grass, as it says in the Holy Bible, we're designed in the image of God, in the image of Jesus Christ. That's why we're a clothing company. There's our 5-word company name. No spaces between the 5 words. The human body truly, in all truth, is just a mechanical machine. Hinges, levers, and rotations, measurable mathematical degrees of functioning, motion, determined by the shape and length of our bones. And you notice it like that. It's harder for me to speak with my jaw when I move my shoulders in a position that moves my top, my shirt, for the reasons that it does, meaning there's certain things about this specific top that aren't quite ideal, but that's just a good thing for me to address because the jaw stabilizes the entire body. Okay, yeah, wow, I talked about that, but I didn't mean to. Okay, let's get into this video because that's a good point. The jaw, we'll just talk about the jaw right now. It stabilizes the entire body with musculature from the lower jaw bone called the mandible up to the crown of the head, down to some of these upper ribs, and out to the edges of our shoulders. But we're a clothing company. To allow the body to work, the collars of our tops or necklaces or anything around our neck need to stay centered and snug because there's even opposing musculature through the neck, on the right side and left side, connecting into the center line of the body at the spine, but also the jaw musculature on the right side and the left side. You can see it in this video. That's why I call it the gift of video. Me, Evan Strong, the founder and leader for life of In the Image Clothing Company. Okay, yeah, look at this. Collars of our tops, necklaces, okay? But everything I mentioned earlier and anything else that's clothing the body, literally, can damage the body. If we've got imbalanced collars, collar seams, tags in clothing, labeling that's just new, tens of years ago from 2026 this time, and around this time, you know, all sorts of things, though, imbalances in clothing get us into chronic patterning. And this is why we're a clothing company. This is how we allow the body to work through addressing the only thing physically placed onto the human being. Shoelaces and drawstrings are just ropes. We could tie one side over the other in a knot and twist the entire human being. Okay. Rotated seams in clothing, with robots stitching our clothing in modern 2026 and going forth that never happened in the past, before we had the technology to do that. You know, a lot of things like this, pockets, zippers, buttons, but it's day after day, year after year, waking and sleeping life. Everything we do, we're doing it in and through the literal word of whatever's clothing our bodies. It's just what it is. It's physics, mathematics, motion, functionality, gravity, Earth's vertical gravity pull. It comes down and meshes with the horizontal surface of the planet Earth, and this is a 90-degree angle. It's a right angle, a perpendicular angle, all the same thing, worded differently. Our bodies have a center line that mesh with Earth's vertical gravity pull. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, the jaw, and that's when I normally talk about how the jaw stabilizes the entire body, but I already said that in this video because that's just what it is, man. Truth is truth. The body is just a thing that functions if it can. If something's physically placed on it that doesn't allow it to function so well, then maybe it doesn't. So as we're trying to work around things physically placed on us that maybe just aren't working very well for our bodies, you know, things like joints of material of clothing meshing with joints of body parts. Like at the edges of the shoulder, we've got 3 bones coming together to meet to become the shoulder joint with all the shoulder functioning. Okay, the hand will do the same thing as the shoulder. If we straighten the elbow between the hand and shoulder, the body is just a mechanical machine. Okay. Clothing, though, in the way, damages the body. Clothing has to, at very least, at very baseline, stay centered, because there's a center line to our bodies that meshes with Earth's vertical gravity pull. That's centered, okay? Fit correct, and we discuss where that is under In the Image Clothing Company. It doesn't matter who you are. I haven't said this in a while. Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, you're just a human being. There's a universal human design, designed in the image of God. You can be different, but only from something, which is the universal human design. So, yeah, all the ligaments, tendons, muscles, and bones, organs, there's only one way the body's made up of things, you know? And there's only one way it functions. There truly is only one way the human body could ever work. I mean, that's almost our slogan. Our slogan really is allowing the body to work here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, because that's all you can do. We'll never get the body to do anything besides, well, the shape and length of the bones connecting that grow by themselves within the universal human design. But our slogan could almost just be, there is only one way the human body could ever work, because I say that just as often, just about as often, or maybe even more. Maybe, actually, as of now. The 13th of August, 2026, this video's title, under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, is The Ground Shouldn't Feel Far Away. And I'm going to talk about this because, as I'm saying with gravity, and just physics in general, motion, and just how things work, mathematical equations that either come out to be correct or they're incorrect. There's no opinion on them. There's only one way our bodies can work while working with universal laws like this that are outside of all of us. We don't have an opinion on them. We'll never change how gravity pulls down on everything on the surface of the planet Earth. It's pulled down on everything the exact same before there was a human being here to be just one of the things it pulls down on. The trees grow pretty vertical, and if they don't, they fall over. The animals have to walk and run and move around vertical, and if not, they'll fall over, just like a human being. It's always the same thing. A human being's just literally, as it says in the Holy Bible, pulled from the clay. Our bodies are only what we eat. We eat plants that grow from the earth, and it becomes the human being. Or we eat animals that ate plants that grew from the earth, and that becomes the human being. What everything's made up of on this planet, and just in the universe, really, as far as I'm aware, okay? But yeah, matter can't be created or destroyed. If you take the whole earth and break everything that's on it down to the smallest level, right? Like ripping this leaf into the smallest pieces that I possibly could until it gets down to where I couldn't go any smaller. This stuff can't be created or destroyed. It's always been the exact same amount of stuff and the exact same stuff. So it just takes the form of a human being, and the human being dies, and then it takes the form of an animal, and the animal dies. There's no religion or belief to this. This is scientific fact. This is truth. Truth is truth, no matter if you're coming to God through science or science through religion. Yeah, truth through religion or truth through scientifical methods of figuring things out. Okay? Wow. Yikes. The ground shouldn't feel far away. You're made of it. You're made from this earth. We eat the earth. It becomes the human being. That's the only way we grow. This is what the human body is earth. But it's also what the trees are. It's also what any man-made thing is. We've got to remember, there's no such thing as a man-made invention until there is. Human beings, mankind, men and women, the human race. The universal human design, okay? There's only what there is on this earth. Even after we've made all of these things that seem new, it's all the same material that's always existed. That's truth. That's what it is. It's just matter that can't be created or destroyed. So, before there was ever anything made by a human being, there was always Earth. And it's still just Earth, just taking a different form in a way. For a time, it'll always decompose back into the Earth, though. So, this video's title, on the 13th of August, 2026, under In the Image Clothing Company's main site here, it's about the human body, as we do under In the Image Clothing Company's main site, with allowing the body to work being our slogan. The functionality, the physical workings, the ability to just continue to physically, mechanically operate as this mechanical machine we call the human being. The ground shouldn't feel far away. That's this video's title, because mechanically, functionality-wise, the ability to move as a human being, we need to be able to get to the ground. Now, hear me correct. There is no such thing as a chair until a human being invents and builds a chair. Let me list off a few things here, and we'll continue with this discussion after we've laid this understanding of truth. There's no such thing as a table or a counter or a desk until a human being invents and builds a table, counter, or desk. There's no such thing as a bed, a human being type bed, until a human being invents, builds, and puts together this bed out of this matter that cannot be created or destroyed. There's no such thing as a building with 4 walls, or however many walls you'd like to have there, that you can go inside of as a human being until a human being invents a building and builds it, puts it together. There's no such thing as any kind of flooring we could walk on that's man-made until a human being invents this flooring, builds it, and puts it together. There's always just earth. There's the horizontal surface of the earth before you could ever go up a hill or down a hill. There's a neutral to the bottom of the feet before you could ever dorsiflex or plantar flex. Lift the lever of the foot up off the hinge of the ankle, or point the lever of the foot down off the hinge of the ankle. There's only earth until human beings kind of alter it, but we don't really change it. It always is the same stuff. It's truly matter that cannot be created or destroyed. But picture you walking through the woods. You're walking through the desert. You're just somewhere that doesn't have any kind of man-made anything. But like, what's behind me? Oh, that's a beautiful thing for the video. I didn't really think about that for the sake of the explanation of this video. There's nothing behind me besides that path that you might see some people going across, through this video. That's asphalt, a man-made type of flooring, if you will. Everything you can see behind me, though, besides that, at least all the trees and all the plants and the dirt and the rocks, it's just how life is before human beings take these things, put them together, and make something that's kind of different, but it's just made out of the same things, just, put together. There's always only earth. Even in modern cities, all these cities is just earth, formed into this skyscraper, a big building, or this concrete sidewalk, or an asphalt road, or glass, windows, or metal, tabletops inside of a bakery, let's say. Stainless steel, it's easy to clean. It's made of the earth. It's all earth. And it'll always decompose back into the earth. It just takes quite a bit of time. So there's your context to just first off see that we don't get to decide or change truth as human beings. Truth is truth. It's always just what it is before we're ever here. And we kind of, alter things state for a time while we're here as human beings, but it's always the same stuff. Broken down to the smallest that you can get, we're the same as everything else. Truly. That's no religion, no belief. That's truth. It's factual. Physics. Really. Okay. Mathematics. Stuff that can't lie. It's impossible for math to lie. It's impossible for math to have an opinion, or to have an opinion on how math could work. Truth. The truth is the human body is just mathematical degrees of hinges, levers, and rotations. And you can just measure it, how far the body can move in one direction until bones hit into each other, and you're not going anywhere else without breaking the bones, rupturing tendons, or pulling muscles, tearing muscles away from the bones at a ligament. Wait, ligaments connect bones to bones. Muscles connect to bones through tendons. This is how the body works. We've got even opposing musculature from every function. And it's neutral. There's a neutral position to the entire human being. In all the ways the body could ever possibly have physical motion, there's a neutral position to it. That's the truth. It's measurable mathematics. If the body's unaltered, just like if the earth is unaltered, it's natural. There's no opinion to natural. It's something in the state that it's in before it could be altered. Its natural state. The human being working naturally, working unaltered, is designed by God to work. That's why we have it. It's a mechanical machine to take us across the earth. We have all our full ranges to all of our motion. The body moves until the bones hit. And it moves in the opposite direction until the bones hit. And we have a neutral position to the entire body. The human body works activated as a whole. Everything in the body having its own individual role to play and playing its function. Everything in the body has to do something for everything else in the body, because we can't just drag around dead weight. Where part of our body's not working, but it's still connected to the rest of us, everything has its own role. It's all got to work together. You know, man, what a video. This is how it is. There's no opinion. There's no workout routine that'll ever possibly get your body to do anything. It's impossible. The body has a resting heart rate. Your body has a temperature it never moves from. 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Even if it's cold outside or hot outside, the body's about a regulation. The body's only what it is. Always and forever. Once we're full grown, the body's just the shape and length that it is, and it never changes until we die. We could say some of the cartilage or the cushioning between the bones joints where the bones join, so the bones don't wear each other out. This cartilage can get worn out over time and kind of deteriorate, but the body doesn't actually change. We don't actually shrink when we get older. Those that get shorter, it's just things like that, cushioning between the bones kind of getting softer and deteriorating and wearing, but the body's just what it is. No matter who thinks they have some breakthrough or opinion or plan of a workout or how to get your body to do something, it's impossible. Physically, mathematically, it's impossible. It's tangible truth. It's a mechanical machine. It grows by itself. It only does what it does. A lot of people know this, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people are wasting time and money and belief that they can get their bodies to do something, but you can't. It's impossible. It always has been and it always will be. It's no sales pitch. I'm not selling you something with this at all. I'm just discussing what I am in this video. On the 13th of August, 2026, the ground shouldn't feel far away. But this is the truth. What I'm saying with this is the truth as far as the ground shouldn't feel far away is there's nowhere to sit except the ground until human beings make chairs. But there had been human beings for thousands and thousands and thousands of years before a chair had ever been invented. The way that we have modern chairs. If you're out here in the nature, the only thing that exists, and always, even when we do have these modern man-made societies, where are you going to sit? If you're not standing up or laying on the ground, where are you going to lay? You're going to lay down on the ground. There's nowhere else. There's not a bed 3 or 4 feet off the ground that a human being has made until a human being makes a bed. You don't have a bed to lay on until you find yourself access to a bed that some human being has made. But there's always the horizontal surface of the planet Earth. Not only just before modern technology and societies were made, but even after, there's always still Earth underneath the cities, underneath the towns, underneath the chairs and the counters and the tables and the beds. The man-made flooring is just placed on top of God-made Earth. There's no religion to this. There's no belief. There's no way to see it. There's no opinion on it. There's no perspective to try to gain. This is truth, underlying all things that could come on top of it. And that's what truth is something that never changes. It's always been the exact same, and it always will be. No matter what opinions we could have to come up on top of truth as human beings, truth is truth. We don't get to decide it or change it. No. But there's a lot more to this. The ground shouldn't feel far away. The 13th of August, 2026. This video's title, under In The Image Clothing Company's main side here. If you're going to sit down on the ground, you're going to sit down on the ground. You have no other option if there's not a chair made by a human being somewhere along the way that didn't exist before. the invention of a chair. Maybe you've got a tree that tips over, and you sit down on the tree trunk that's now horizontal, and you're off the ground a little bit, you know, the diameter of the tree trunk, maybe a foot or two, maybe 3 feet off the ground if you've got that big of a tree, or bigger. There's some really big trees, you know, the redwoods in California, they're tens of feet wide at the trunk. But regardless, that's still natural earth. That's nothing that's different. It's just a tree that was vertical and it just fell over. Now it's horizontal. And so you sit on the tree trunk or you sit on the ground. But, you know, even thinking about sitting on a log or a tree stump, the way that we can take our man-made machinery and cut a tree trunk nice and flat, and you can have a seat that's nice and flat, that doesn't exist until the man-made technology to cut a tree that flat. If a tree falls over and just breaks at the base, you're not going to sit on that part of the tree that broke because it's not going to be very flat. It'll poke into your pelvis, your sit bones, at the bottom of your pelvis, the ischiums, the glute muscles. You're not going to sit on that. You're going to sit on the ground. Unless maybe you sit on a rock. But rocks are only going to be the height that the rock is going to be. There's not just this universal human being chair height that's become just fairly the same. You know, just about any chair you sit in across the earth, really, for the most part, but at least, like in the United States of America here, for example, almost all the chairs are almost the exact same height. But you go out to sit somewhere where there's not a man-made invention of a chair, and you're going to have all sorts of different height rocks and different shapes and sizes to rocks you could sit on, or tree trunks that have fallen over and different heights to them, or you just sit on the ground. And no matter what, everything is always placed onto the ground that shouldn't feel far away because it always remains. It's always there. 13th of August, 2026. This video is titled, under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here, "The Ground Shouldn't Feel Far Away." There's an airplane. An invention of a human being. Oh, that's funny, actually. I normally mention the airplanes that come through for the sake of the noise they make in the video, you know, and the microphone here. But talking about the ground not being far away from us, it's not ever. Well, we can fly in airplanes because it's a man-made invention. And now you're very far away from the ground, but it's impossible to be far away from the ground, or to be away from the ground at all, longer than just jumping off the earth before gravity pulls you back down to the earth. Until there's a man-made invention. You never will be able to possibly leave the surface of the ground, the surface of the planet Earth. It shouldn't feel far away. But we can have buildings that are 2, 3, 4, 5 plus to hundreds of stories tall. Like, a story is at like 10 feet, give or take. You know, big enough to have a room that you can be inside of and not hit your head on the ceiling. And then you have one of those stacked on another one and stacked on another one. Hundreds of rooms, if you will, tall. We have skyscrapers, they call them. Buildings we make as human beings. And we are so far away from the earth that is still down there. And the only way we can be is because the thing we've built is placed on the earth, so we can be placed on top of the thing we built. We're always still on the earth, but we're separated from it in ways. But the body's still only made of the earth. Literally, physically, tangibly. It wouldn't exist if we didn't eat earth. Even when we're growing within our mother's womb, it's the food that the mother human being is eating that's from the earth that fuels the baby inside of her. Once the baby is born, the baby then just eats food directly from the earth. There's no religion, no opinion, no nothing, no approach to truth. Truth is truth. The truth is the ground shouldn't feel far away. This video is titled the 13th of August, 2026, under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here, spoken by me, Evan Strong, the founder and leader for life of In The Image Clothing Company. We just discuss things that are what they are here, man. That's our goal, is to keep all of our opinions out of everything. We'll never, be perfect. at anything as a human being. So even just delivering information that's true, we don't get to decide it. But let me discuss this some more, because man-made shoe soles, okay? Our God-made feet work on the surface of the God-made earth. You don't have to be religious, but the feet grow by themselves, and nothing happens unless it does, you know? An object in motion will stay in motion unless it's acted upon by something else. But also, an object at rest will stay at rest unless it's acted upon by something else. Okay, physics, truth, universal laws outside of all of us. We don't get to decide or change. The point is, nothing just gets built unless something does it. You know, nothing happens unless it does. Nothing moves unless something moves it. Okay? The body just grows. How's it happening? We can't take credit for it. We're asleep and we have our bodies growing, and our bodies are digesting food, and our lungs are breathing, exchanging carbon dioxide for oxygen. As we're entirely unconscious, we couldn't take credit for these things. Here's another airplane. How patient are you? You need to be, to a degree, for life to not beat you up, okay? More than it just does. Here's the thing, the 13th of August, 2026. This video is titled under In the Image Clothing Company's main site. The ground shouldn't feel far away. Well, yeah, the body has the feet being our vertical support. Meaning, at the very base of our bodies, our very foundation, on Earth's vertical gravity pull, we've got 2 feet in this universal human design, gripping arches inward, opposing the center line of the body and Earth's vertical gravity pull, keeping us vertical, okay? The spine's in the direct center of the body, above the hips, meshing with Earth's vertical gravity pull. The feet are evenly opposing the direct center of the body, below the hips, down the legs, meshing evenly on either side, the left and right, or the right and left of Earth's vertical gravity pull. The feet are meant to be on the horizontal surface of the planet Earth, directly on the Earth, because for thousands and thousands of years, human beings existed before a human being could ever invent something they called a shoe to place between the foot and the ground. So these man-made shoes have the bottoms of them we call shoe soles. Now, you're not touching the earth. There's no belief about being grounded. The feet have to grip the ground. The feet grip arches the way that the hands grip things. Okay? Different length 5 toes within the universal human design grip the ground, and they really grip. Good nails on the fingers and the toes, all the way to the tips, cut relatively flat to back and support the fingers and toes. And remember, there's always a neutral position to the entire body. No opinion to it, you can measure it mathematically. We just reside in the neutral position to the entire body if the body's unaltered. The ground shouldn't feel far away. My body's in a neutral position. Sitting on the ground. But you sit on a man-made chair that doesn't exist until human beings invent it. And now your body's in different angles, different bends, different ranges of motion, different positions, okay? From this position here, sitting on the ground, and my body's just neutral and working properly. If I sit in a man-made chair, it just changes all the bends in my body and the center of gravity that my body is over Earth's surface, and my body has parts of it turn off or deactivate. Okay, wow. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It works on the horizontal surface directly of the planet Earth. Okay. So, shoe soles, right? An invention of human beings. We're not actually touching the ground. Our feet aren't actually gripping the surface of the textured natural Earth. That's one thing. The ground's farther away in a shoe sole than it would be if you weren't wearing shoes that had a layer of something between the bottom of your feet and the ground. We navigate life through our feet, not just because they walk us around, but there's so many nerve endings in the feet. The feet really feel things the way that the hands do. The feet and the hands do the same thing. A video's title under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here currently as well. One of our many, many, many hundreds as of today's date, the 13th of August, 2026. The ground shouldn't feel far away is this video's title. Shoe soles. Well, check this out. Man-made flooring. You're not actually on the ground. You're on top of a layer of something that's on top of the ground. Man-made flooring is on top of the earth. And that matters. You know, it really does. It really does. I mean, there's no kind of belief to it, like I was saying, on being grounded. You know, sometimes people think it's just like a thing in only spiritual communities, and maybe you don't think you're spiritual or something, right? Well, the body literally is the earth. That's what it is. I mean, it's just what it is. You could do like a blood test and find out what's in your blood. And it's in the same stuff that you ate, because that's what became your blood, is what you ate. Okay? For example, there's no opinion to it. I mean, this is what has built us. This is what has created us. This is what we are literally, physically, tangibly made out of, is the earth, as human beings. And so, the body really needs to be connected to it. There's no opinion to it. There's no approach to take. It's our life source. Okay? So, really, I mean, ideally, the closest to the surface of the earth we could sleep, it's going to be the best for our bodies. If we could sleep just directly on the ground, that's going to be the most healthy for our bodies. It truly is. But we sleep on man-made beds that are multiple feet off the ground. Well, on a ground floor, but then you've got the second, third, fourth, fifth, and then hundreds of floors in a tall building, a skyrise, a skyscraper, a really high off the ground, man-made thing, if you will. That's how we could just label it. A man-made thing. And you're hundreds of feet in the air. But the ground is still down there somewhere, and you're trying to sleep. Essentially, literally in the sky. That's just not normal. It's impossible to happen. For every human being that ever lived until the invention of skyscrapers, tall buildings, meaning until we had the technology to be able to make buildings that tall without them just crumbling and falling over when the wind blows. But you know what happens is all these buildings will always eventually just fall over and decompose back into the earth. An earthquake, a really strong storm of any kind, a hurricane, for example, a tornado, you know, tsunami. God, no opinion to it. Nature. This stuff happens. It's always happened before a human being was ever here, or even a thought. The earth was the earth because the human being is literally made of the earth. It had to be here first. The earth is something we could call the ground. It shouldn't feel far away. But it is. In modern 2026 and going forth, in our modern man-made societies, anytime we have an invention of a human being that puts any kind of separation whatsoever between our physical bodies and the physical earth, now the earth is far away from us. Farther, even just the distance of the shoe sole. Even if you're wearing really thin shoe soles, these are pretty darn thin shoe soles I'm wearing here. Relatively, actually, thin. Yeah. The ground's still not quite touching my feet when my feet are placed onto the ground, because there's a layer of something between my foot and the ground. These are Zero shoes. Shout out to XERO Zero, the brand. They make great shoes, and they're great for the feet. But I'm just using it as an example. Any shoe, even a sock, you're not actually touching the ground. And this does matter, because matter, right? The literal word. We take things like topical creams and we place them on the skin of the body to soak into the body through the holes in the skin called pores. The skin of the body is called the epidermis. It's an organ encapsulating the entire human being. It makes us waterproof. It protects the inside of the body. It keeps all the inside of the body inside the body. It's the walls or the barrier of the outside of the exterior of the body. The outside of the exterior. There's the redundancy. Shout out to the dog barking too. In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, another one of our fourths. I don't know what dog that is over there, but anyway. The organ of the body, the epidermis, it's covering the entire exterior of the human being. So the bottom of the feet, they have skin. They have pores, little holes in the body, and things soak into the body. But this is natural. When you're standing on natural earth surface, in all truth, part of the earth will be soaking into your skin. Like right now, my hands on the grass, the grass is partially soaking into my body. It is. It's just like you rub something onto your skin to soak into your skin. Well, you could just place your skin onto that thing instead of placing that thing onto your skin. It's the same thing. It's just something touching something else. The feet always are touching the earth until they're socks made by human beings, until there's shoes made by human beings, until there's man-made flooring made by human beings. And now we've got 3 layers: a sock, a shoe, a man-made floor, before we could ever get to the ground. But then the higher up in a building you go, you've got another floor and another floor and another floor, and the space between those floors, and the ground is somewhere down there always, because the building you're standing on is built on the ground. It's just pretty far away. The ground shouldn't feel far away. Okay, here comes the wind. The 13th of August, 2026. In the Image Clothing Company's main site here. The ground shouldn't feel far away. If the ground feels far away to you as a human being, your body's probably lacking ranges of motion. Like this. Meaning this is range of motion. This is the most full range to the motion I can get in the bends of my knees. Because I'm literally hitting the bottom of my pelvis or the bottom of my hips to the heels of my feet. Right? The back of my feet, where my lower leg bones come down into. I'm literally hitting bone to bone here, besides, just the material of my pants and my undergarments and my shoes and my socks, the upper of my shoe here. But I'm literally hitting bone to bone. That's the fullness of the range that exists to the motion in the bend of my knees. And this is just natural because now look where I'm at. The ground. This shouldn't feel far away. This video's title, the 13th of August, 2026, under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, the ground shouldn't feel far away, because it's not. Until we have Man-made inventions, shoe soles, socks, man-made flooring, multiple floors in a building, a bed, multiple feet up off the ground, a chair, multiple feet up off the ground. You can't sit in a chair and have the body work. There's only one range to all the motion in the body. And it works on the ground. Before we could ever place something between the ground and our bodies. The ground should not feel far away. Okay, the ground shouldn't feel far away. And it is so far away from so many people and in like a whole society, you know, meaning an entire city sometimes has to seek and seek and seek out ground that's always underneath everything they're on. The concrete, the asphalt, the man-made flooring on the indoor of man-made buildings. The shoes that people maybe just about never take off, but also maybe have different angles to the sole of the shoe than just the bottom of the feet flat on the horizontal surface of the planet Earth. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It grows by itself. It's determined by the shape and length of our bones. There's a universal human design. There's a neutral position to the entire body, every single part of everything in the body. And there's only one way the human body could ever work. But it has to be unaltered. Because if it's altered from how it works, then it's altered from how it works. There's only one way it does work. But we've got inventions as human beings, truly. Okay, this is, I mean it. I mean it. It's just that it's crazy. The ground shouldn't feel far away, okay? The 13th of August, 2026. This video is titled under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. So people sit, and they're sitting in chairs up off the ground. Your body gets stuck, not able to go any deeper in the ranges of motion than just sitting on a chair, okay? When you're not all the way bent or all the way closed in your ranges of motion that the body has until the bones physically hit into each other and you'll never possibly go any farther. There's no way you'll ever get the human being to do anything different than what it does. Never. It's impossible. No matter who thinks they have some breakthrough even thousands of years after I die. Me, Evan Strong, the founder and leader for life of In the Image Clothing Company. Oh, it'll never change. It's impossible without altering the body that grows by itself. And then you change how it works, and now it doesn't work. You know, when people's bodies get altered, that's when they die. People's immune system's working properly and naturally. If it gets altered through an illness, they die a lot of the time, okay? For example, I mean, there's only one way the body works. Everything, the digestive system, the heart, the brain, the lungs. You know, there's names for these things, but it's all a system. The circulatory system, the respiratory system, the nervous system of the body. It's plumbing and electrical and HVAC, right? Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. The breathing of the body. You know, plumbing is the blood of the body. The electrical system is the brain of the body. It's literally an electrical system. Well, all these other things are literally what I'm saying they are as well here. I mean, yes, it's just a mechanical machine. There's no approach or opinion to it. There's not. It grows by itself. But to work on the ground. The ground shouldn't feel far away. This video is titled the 13th of August, 2026, under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. If the ground feels far away to you, your body's probably not working properly. As mine wasn't for the majority of my life up until about 24 years old. Look at the babies. Look at into toddler age. Young human beings' bodies work. They've got all their natural ranges of motion. Their feet work properly. Their hands work properly. Where are they laying all the time? On the flat ground. You've got babies on the floor often, or if they're in like a crib or a bed, you don't put a pillow under a baby's head. As we go through life, though, our bodies get into chronic patterning. We start to put pillows under our heads, pushing our head forward, and now you can't even speak because you're changing your whole neck position. Your whole spine from the base of your skull down to your pelvis. You change your pelvis down to the tips of your toes through your legs and out to your fingertips too from your spine, out your shoulders. Your whole body's position changes if you just push the head up forward with a pillow. But remember, you're laying down. Essentially, you'd just be flat on the horizontal surface of the planet Earth. We could call it the ground. The ground shouldn't feel far away. This video's title on the 13th of August, 2026, under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here, you put a pillow under your head and now your head's farther away from the ground. That's not normal. If you're just going to lay down somewhere, unless you had a man-made pillow, you're going to lay on the ground. A pillow is an invention of a human being. If I lay flat on the ground, my spine's neutral. If I had a pillow under my head to take my head far away from the ground, farther, my spine's not neutral anymore with a pillow under my head. Okay, there's only one way the human body could ever work. You spend 8 hours a night sleeping, or however many hours you sleep, with your head farther away from the ground than just resting on the ground, because you place a man-made pillow under it. And you get yourself into chronic patterning. Chronically, you're constantly having your head in a position pushed forward. Really, it's pushed up off the ground when you're laying horizontal on your back. Like I was showing laying down there on the grass, right? But it's just like sitting down in nature. You're not going to be able to sit anywhere besides on the ground. Unless you came across a rock that just happened to be the height that that individual rock was, or a tipped over tree trunk that just happened to be the height that that tree trunk was, laying horizontal on the ground. If you're going to lay down in nature, you have no option but to lay on the ground. The horizontal surface of the planet Earth, this shouldn't feel far away. The ground shouldn't feel far away. The 13th of August, 2026, this video's title under In The Image Clothing Company's main side. And nothing changes. No matter how much invention we get as human beings, the human being that invents these things still always grows by itself, and we have no opinion or say over how that is. It just grows by itself. The body only functions how it functions, and the body functions unless or until altered. There's always ground unless or until altered to become a chair, to become a bed, to become a tabletop or a counter like this when the body works back here with the shoulders neutral. Put your shoulders out on a man-made table or a man-made counter up off the ground, and you change your whole spine position front and back with this natural curve in the spine. A video's title under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here currently. The natural curve in the spine, the natural bend in the knee. It's changed, sitting in a man-made chair up off the ground. A video's title under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here currently. The natural bend in the knee. The bottoms of the feet and the pelvis do the exact same thing, okay? Dorsiflexion of the foot lever off the hinge of the ankle, lifting the foot up, is a posterior rotation of the pelvis. Plantar flexion of the lever of the foot off the hinge of the ankle, pointing the feet down, is an anterior rotation of the pelvis, because the body has even mathematical opposing bends from bottom to top to stay vertical on Earth's vertical gravity pull. There's no opinion to it. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's mathematics. The body grows by itself. It's truly just physical functioning. It's physics. The ankles bend backward. The knees bend forward. the hips bend backward, the low back bends forward, the mid back bends backward, and the upper back bends forward. The upper back's just the neck or the cervical spine that we don't want to put a pillow under, or you change that position and change everything down to the feet of the natural curve in the spine. In the Image Clothing Company, allowing the body to work. That's the only reason we're a clothing company, really. Clothing is the only thing physically placed on the physical body of the human being. There's a lawnmower. The 13th of August, 2026, in the Image Clothing Company's main site here, this video is titled, "The Ground Shouldn't Feel Far Away." So, yeah, the ankles and the hips are both backward bends in the body, with the knees bending forward between them. So they need to be able to be on the ground, to be at the same level. We need to sleep flat on something to be on the same level. The feet need to grip natural textured earth to support the body. With all the stabilization in the feet, they need a firm gripping to the ground that all those toes do, and the arch in the foot, it grips the ground just like the hands do. Okay. The ground shouldn't feel far away. So sitting on the ground is very natural. It's the only possibility before any kind of man-made invention of something we could call a chair. Or even just some man-made ledge type thing you could sit on. I mean, sure, you could sit on the edge of a rock or the edge of a cliff. But, you know, only if it's there. We get so reliant on chairs. And they're only there if they're there, you know, if someone's made them and you have access to it. We get so reliant on this soft, unnatural, squishy material to beds that only exists if a human being has made it. Otherwise, there's just the firm ground we'd lay on, which is very natural and healthy for the body. It's what the body's made out of. Okay. There's only one way the human body could ever work. So it's a big focus to get to a place, and hear me correct, we're only getting back to a place as a human being where the ground feels like somewhere that's comfortable for us to be. Because as a baby, you're never off the ground until you can start to stand, then you can start to walk, and then you could crawl up onto a chair, and then you grow large enough that you could just sit onto a chair that's off the ground. Babies can't get up onto beds by themselves. Babies can't get up into chairs. Babies can't crawl up into a man-made vehicle to be up off the ground. Babies can't climb stairs to get up to another floor or another story in a building, a man-made building. Babies are on the ground. Babies, infant, human beings. Where we all started is on the ground. Through life, we get progressively farther off the ground until we just live this society that's like up off the Earth's surface when gravity is still pulling us down to the surface of the Earth, and we just place something between our bodies and the ground. We get into chronic patterning. By what's physically placed on our bodies, the literal word of clothing, any imbalances, I listed off some at the beginning of this video. On the 13th of August, 2026, under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, "The Ground Shouldn't Feel Far Away" is the title. But also, placing our bodies physically onto things can damage our bodies, just like physically placing things onto our bodies. If we've got a separation between our bodies and the ground, that thing that's separating our bodies from the ground is conditional, but what's not conditional is the ground. It's the basis, it's the foundation, it's the first layer. It's the thing that was always there before anything else could come up on top of it. It's like just discussing truth. Truth is always there before an opinion could come up on top of it. The ground's always there before a man-made floor could be built on top of it. The ground's always there before a shoe sole could be placed on top of it for the foot to be placed on top of that. The ground's always there before a chair could be made on top of it for us to place our body on top of that. Truth is truth. It doesn't matter how far technology advances, we can only build things from what we have to build it with, which is matter that cannot be created or destroyed. It's the earth. We could call it the ground. This shouldn't feel far away, okay? The ground shouldn't feel far away. This video's title, the 13th of August, 2026, under In The Image Clothing Company's main site. There's more I could say with this, but no matter what we did say about it, it's always just the same. There's always ground before we place anything onto it. Anything we could discuss that we place onto the ground that we need to be intentional about how we approach, well, that'll come if and where it does with further discussions under In The Image Clothing Company's 5-word company name going forth. I will be doing this the rest of my entire life. As the leader of In The Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong, I founded it. And our team will discuss these things. We'll always have a beautifully well-educated team, God-fearing, nature-loving, poodle-loving individuals, human beings, okay, under In The Image Clothing Company's team. Here in the state of Utah, the United States of America, we allow the body to work. So much of it through the gift, as I call it, of video here, but also giving a lot of free modifications in clothing with universal clothing imbalances being shipped across the entire earth in modern 2026 and going forth because of the robots stitching our clothing, okay? Rotations and seams in clothing and things like this, unnatural materials that got invented just tens of years ago from around this time period, 2026, damage our bodies. Yeah, soaking into the holes in our skin, the holes in the organ called the epidermis. The holes are called pores, right? Made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials is what clothing needs to be because it's all that exists before we alter those things. The ground. It's all that exists before we alter it. But it always decomposes back to what it was before we got involved as human beings. Anyway. Truth is truth. We give a lot of, you could call them free modifications on how to approach life. Like I'm saying, how to sit in a way that's natural for the body when we live in this separated from the natural earth existence as human beings. There's no belief to it. But it's physics. And the higher off the ground you get, the different angles will happen in your body. You know, you've got a deep angle in your ankles and your knees and your hips down close to the ground. And you have to be able to have this deep of a bend in your body to get to the ground that's always there before anything could be placed on top of it. The higher up you get off the ground, first of all, you can't sit in a chair without falling backward. Not really. Not fully sitting onto a chair. You deactivate the muscles of the rear of the upper legs called hamstrings, okay? We've always got even opposing musculature, okay, from both sides of the body, going into how the body works. We discuss this in depth under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here. It's a mechanical machine. There's only one way the human body could ever possibly physically, mechanically operate. It grew to be what it is, and that's the only way it can move. Bones don't move. They're essentially like a stick. Bones only move where they connect to another bone at the literal word of joints, joining bones together. And that's the only way they could ever possibly have function and motion, and they're just an extremely specific shape and length. The bones of the body, no claim, no breakthrough either. It's always been the exact same. It's information that a lot of people know, but just a lot of people don't. There is only one way the human body could ever work. No matter who's ever trying to convince you they'll train your body to do something, it's physically impossible. Unless you change the shape and or length of your bones. And then even then, you know, you try to train someone to withstand cold better. Well, the body's temperature never leaves 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. It doesn't matter how you want to try to withstand cold more, your body will freeze to death. Or just shut down if it gets too cold or gets too hot. There's no opinion to it. There's no breakthrough. Nobody can own the information. Truth is truth. The body grows by itself. Anyway, check out the other 3 sides of In the Image Clothing Company if you'd like to. I mentioned In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. Letting dogs stay natural is our slogan. The same as allowing the body to work here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. But we give information that applies to all dogs, specializing in the large or standard size purebred poodle. All right. The lawnmower noise, man. In the Image Clothing Company podcast with discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're on episode 214. Nope, now 215, actually, as of a couple days ago. But yes, as of now, though, the 13th of August, 2026. In the Image Clothing Company music, we do a lot with music, rhythm and poetry, spoken word, lyricism, guitar playing, singing, geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ with the messages. You don't have to be religious, man. Or man. Okay? We're all human beings, brother. The body grows by itself before we could ever even understand that that's happening. Okay. Truth is always truth before we could ever understand what it is. You get born into a city and you just about never see the natural ground. It's always underneath your city. Before you could ever even understand that's the truth. Okay? Shoot. Thank you. Okay, I'll be here for life, as I say. My name is Evan Strong. The state of Utah is a big focus for us under In the Image Clothing Company. We'll always have good clothing to not alter the body. Simple, minimal, light, brandless on the exterior, okay, just to allow the body to work. We'll have dog products as well, whatever else we branch out into product-wise under our 5-word company name, In the Image Clothing Company. We do things for the environment, in-person events, a lot of stuff with the dogs. We sit out here as we do it, blunt, bold, raw, and real, and yell over the surrounding sounds. There's no lawnmowers until they get invented by human beings. St. George, Utah specifically, but check us out. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And goodbye. You're not going to have motion like this naturally if you don't have the ability to just get to the ground, because getting to the ground is just getting into your deepest ranges of motion in your body like I showed, right? It's just what it is. Thank you and goodbye.